Why did you go to Nashville and not to another city?
My husband already worked at the University of Buenos Aires in a research group of 4 people. And Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee, was the only one that offered scholarships to the 4 of them. It was a very good university, so we decided to go there, even if we didn't know nothing about Tennessee and Nashville.
Did the University of Buenos Aires pay for your trip to the USA?
The University of Buenos Aires didn't pay us for the trip because the 4 of them had resigned from their job at the university in protest at the police repression of the different faculties.
Did you know anybody who had lost any member of her family that terrible night?
No, we were very lucky. At La Noche de los Bastones Largos, no one was killed, but many students and professors were hurt, some of them quite seriously. And even there was a professor, an American professor, who was visiting the university that was also hurt, and this helped because the Americans understood that this was quite serious because of him.
You said you know little about Nashville, so what did you finally learn about it?
I learned many things in addition to Russian inequalities. I learned, for example, the difference between a southern city like Nashville, a very provincial city, and a city on the west coast like San Francisco or on the east coast like Boston, cities much more cosmopolitan and so culturally rich. That is one of the things I learned.
What was your new neighborhood like in Nashville? Were Black people welcome?
My neighborhood was a typical American middle-class neighborhood, so blacks were only welcome when they came to work as cleaners or plumbers, but not as dinner guests, for instance. And we had problems because of that, because we had black friends and we invited them for dinner.
What was a typical day in your neighborhood at school and at home like?
During the week, there were very few people in the buildings. They were all working or studying, the children at school. Social life was only for the weekend and generally consisted of sharing a beer or barbecue with a few neighbors. At school, at the university, I was working or studying, so I was very busy. And when I arrived at home, I was also very busy because I had 2 little kids to take care. So it was quite hard.
What was, in your opinion, the turning point in the fight against racism in the U.S.?
In the fight for equal civil rights for the black race, there are many important moments, such as the abolition of slavery by Abraham Lincoln in 1963, the boycott of the Montgomery bus system initiated by Rosa Parks in 1955, the March of Washington from Martin Luther King in 1963. But I think what really was important are the thousands of small struggles that very slowly were achieving objectives.
Do you think the USA has improved its political situation in connection with racism?
Yes, I believe that there was enormous progress in the fight for the rights of the black people, but I also believe that unfortunately a part of the American white population has incomprehensible prejudice for our time.
Have you got any friends suffering racial aggression now?
I have not lived in the United States for many years and I lost contact with the black people I knew, so I really don't know if they had problems now.
What was your position on the riots? How did they take place?
As a member of the staff of this university, a black university, I participated in the acts in memory of Luther King after his assassination with great respect, accompanying the pain of that community. But as a foreigner and white, I do not think it was my place to comment on the riots.
What do you hope from your students? What do you expect from this new generation?
I hoped that they could achieve the authentic equality of rights for which so many generations of their people previously and themselves had fought so hard. Unfortunately, they didn't. I sincerely hope that the new generations of black and white together can finally solve the racial problem in the US.